Hello everyone. In this session, we will see how to set up environment for Salesforce function. Please subscribe my channel Easy Coding with Shantanu. So what is the tip for today? The first tip is that custom metadata records can have unlimited SQL queries. So there is no governor limit on SQL query count for running the SQL queries on custom metadata records. Next thing is that custom metadata records cannot exceed the size of 10 MB. So if you feel you need to use custom metadata for storing lots of configuration data, that is not the good practice to use custom metadata then. Instead of that, you can create the custom object. However, if you will use the custom object, definitely you need to run a query on custom object, and that can be counted as the SQL query count as part of the governor limit. So as per the business logic, as per the business requirement, you have to find out when you will use the custom metadata and the custom object. Let's go for today's agenda. So our agenda is that first we need to set up our organization or our environment. Next, we need to enable the Salesforce function in our org. Then we need to know what are the permissions available or what are the permissions required to access or to use or to run the Salesforce function. Then we learn what are the setups things we have to follow or we have to maintain in our code editor tool. So in this exercise we will use the Visual Studio Code, and after that we will know what is the purpose of the SF comment, and before conclusion we will discuss some questions. Let's go to the topic. Now first thing first, we need to set up the org. Now how will you set up the org? If you use the production org or if you use the development org, definitely we need to raise a ticket or raise a case to Salesforce for enabling function in the development org, or for demo purpose or for training purpose we can or you can sign up the free developer edition org where Salesforce function is enabled using this link. So if you will click on this link, you can see this is the Salesforce function sign up org, and that is the 30-day trial. So you can sign up, then you can practice the Salesforce function. So for the entire tutorial from my side, you can use the 30-day trial Salesforce function org. And after sign up successful, you just after logging, you need to enable the dev hub to access or to create scratch orgs. Now let's see, this is the temporary or 30-day trial org where Salesforce function is already enabled. Now what I will do after logging, I will go to setup. Then I will go to, I'll search with dev hub. Sorry, this is not my function org, so just give me a moment. Yeah, now I am able to successfully log in to the Salesforce function org where the function is automatically enabled. If it is not enabled, then you have to raise a ticket to Salesforce. Now after login to Salesforce function org, I need to enable dev hub. So just click on the dev hub. Then already I have enabled the dev hub. If not, then you have to select the enable DevUp option. Remember one thing, you cannot disable these settings. So previously I was not able to find the DevUp org because this is a scratch org which I have created from this DevUp org. Okay, in the going forward session we will show you how to create the scratch org from this DevUp environment and how to run the Salesforce function from the respective org. Okay, so first thing is that we need to sign up the Salesforce function org and we need to enable the DevUp. Now after enabling DevUp, we need to enable Salesforce function. When you will enable Salesforce function, you will get two options, enable test space, enable production space. Let's go to the org. Now after enabling DevUp, I will search with function. So as this is the Salesforce function org, so this Salesforce function is automatically enabled for this org. So you can see on unique ID that the respective Salesforce function account ID and the org, the login org domain which is home-c, that is, and last is the login org ID. Now as I told earlier, when you enable Salesforce function, you got two options, one is enable test space, another one is an enable production space. So enable test space basically is used for with work on the sandbox. So these test environments allow you to use Salesforce function with your sandbox and scratch orgs, but that is basically used for the sandbox. Now this option I have enabled because this is my development instance. So this is that enable, we have to enable production space when we are ready to use Salesforce function with our development instance or with the developer instance or the production instance. So there are two steps then, one is that we have to enable DevUp, then we have to enable Salesforce function with enable production space. Let's go back to the slide. One thing, when you enable production space, you cannot undo this action. Now we will see the respective permission sets to use Salesforce function. So primarily there are four permission sets. One is that function access, where you can use function for the computing to use the compute access. You can access any functionality that relies on the Heroku platform including login through CLI. Then function prod access, you can perform any action that require access to production space, as well as you can deploy function related metadata in your Salesforce org. And next is the function admin access to perform some admin operation just like the deployment of the function and to create or to manage the permission sets. And last one is that to access the Salesforce DX, we need to give the permission as the Salesforce DX access, and that is to attach the permission sets. Before that we need those permissions that API enabled author apex and manage sandboxes. So author apex is basically helps to create the respective apex class, and those are the permissions we need to consider when we will work on the Salesforce function, that is taken from our Salesforce help document. Now we have to set up some tools in our Visual Studio Code. So definitely first we have to install in our machine the code editor, any code editor. So here you can consider the Visual Studio Code, and you have to install Salesforce extension pack. So basically Salesforce extension pack contains all Salesforce metadata related comments and the libraries. So this is mandatory to install Salesforce extension pack to create or to get the access on the Salesforce custom metadata or Salesforce related metadatas. And next we have to install Salesforce CLI. So all those links I have mentioned below in this video. So you can go through in the description and you can install the respective tools or softwares in the VS Code or in your machine. So then we have to install Salesforce CLI. And to access to use the Salesforce function, we need to install some of the softwares or some of the tools in our machine. First is that if we will write to, or if we will if you want to use some JavaScripts, okay, to write the Salesforce function, we need to install Node.js. If we use the Java, then we have to install the JDK. Obviously, we need to install Git. Why do we need? We will discuss later. And at last, we will use the any logger account where we can see the debug logs. Okay, so that part we will discuss in the going forward session. Now, when you install Salesforce CLI, you have to check what is the SFDX version. So let's assume that I have installed the Visual Studio Code, and obviously I have installed the Salesforce extension pack, as well as I have installed Salesforce CLI. So let's say if I will search that what is my version of SFDX, how will I write SFDX double hyphen, then write down version. So it will return what is the latest version of my SFDX. So here you can see the version of SFDX CLI 7.192.2. Okay. Now if I'll go to my presentation, you can see the SFDX version. To access or to use the Salesforce function, the SFDX version should be 7.176 or later. So that means we are good to run the SFDX version. We are good to run using this. Sorry, my mistake. Close it. To this SFDX. So here the version is 7.192. So we are good here. Now we need to check the SF comment. So what is the purpose of the SF comment? The purpose of the SF comment is to run all Salesforce function related comments as well as all Salesforce platform related comments. So SF is nothing but to executable comment supports, or SF is nothing but to supports all Salesforce clouds, as well as this comment contains all the Salesforce function related comments along with the Salesforce platform comments which I have discussed here. Now how will I check that SF comment is working or not? So again I need to go back to the Visual Studio Code. Now what I will write down, SF space double hyphen then help. So you can see SF function is being executed successfully. So the Salesforce CLI, that all those SF comment, the topics and the comments are coming over. So in the going forward session, when we will use any comment, we have to use that the SF comment to create or to deploy or to test the Salesforce function. Now coming to the question is this mandatory to install Salesforce CLI? Yes, this is mandatory to install Salesforce CLI, otherwise we will not get the access of SFDX. What is the purpose of using SF comment? SF comment helps to run Salesforce function and Salesforce platform related comments, which we will see in the going forward sessions. So what we need to do to set up your environment, just to recap, first you need to sign up the free 30-day trial developer edition org for Salesforce function. Second, you need to enable Dev Hub. Third, you need to enable Salesforce function. However, if you sign up free 30-day trial Salesforce function org, that means already Salesforce function is enabled. Fourth, we need to install the VS Code with Salesforce extension pack, the extension we have to install in the VS Code, as well as we need to install the Salesforce CLI comment, where we need to check what is the latest version of SFDX. If the SFDX version is lower than 7.176, we cannot write a function using SFDX, just that remember. And at last, we need to check that SF comment is executing properly or not. And one thing I had like to mention here, when you will use the sf command, please check what are the what is the cell you are using. Is the command from the command prompt or from the PowerShell? Please remember this thing. Otherwise, probably from the PowerShell, maybe sf command will not work. So you have to select that the command prompt, then you can use the sf command. Okay, so we have completed all the Salesforce setups for that to create or to deploy to test the Salesforce function, which we will see in the next session. We are fine to start, or we are happy to start using Salesforce function from the next session. In the description, I have mentioned all the links to install the softwares, so you can go through and you can set up your environment before attending the next session. Thank you everyone. Bye.